Imagine for a moment that you could travel back in time to 1607, to the marshy shores of Virginia. There, on this hostile and unknown land, a handful of daring Englishmen laid the first stones of what would become America. Jamestown, a name that still resonates today as the symbol of a crazy dream come true. But what you may not know is that this legendary colony hid secrets so explosive that it took more than 400 years and the miracles of modern science to bring them to light. The story I'm about to tell you is beyond fiction. It combines archaeology, cutting-edge genetics, and aristocratic scandals in a truly fascinating cocktail. Get ready to discover how the DNA of men who died centuries ago has revealed one of the best-kept family secrets in American colonial history. Let's go back to the early 17th century. The England of King James I dreams of conquering the New World and its fabulous riches. The Virginia Company obtains a royal charter in 1606 with ambitious goals: to establish a permanent colony, discover gold, and find a passage to the east. In December of that same year, 3 ships left London with 104 men and young boys on board. After an exhausting 4.5-month voyage, they finally landed on a marshy peninsula they named Jamestown. But the reality of this new land was very different from their golden dreams. The first few years were an absolute nightmare. Imagine these men, ill-prepared for this wild life, faced with terrifying diseases such as dysentery and typhus, poisoned by brackish water, and constantly threatened by the warriors of the Powhatan Confederacy. The famous Captain John Smith managed to maintain some semblance of order, but his departure in 1609 opened the door to Jamestown's darkest period. The winter of 1609 to 1610 will go down in history as the terrifying starving time. Imagine the scene: hundreds of colonists reduced to 60 skeletal survivors, ravaged by hunger and disease, besieged by the Powhatan. The colony is on the brink of total collapse. The survivors are even preparing to abandon Jamestown for good when, in June 1610, a providential fleet appears on the horizon. On board these life-saving ships was Thomas West, 3rd Baron de la Warre, accompanied by several members of his family, his brothers Francis, John, and Nathaniel, as well as other male relatives. This arrival marked a turning point for the colony. Among the new arrivals were 2 men whose destinies would lead us to the heart of this incredible discovery: Captain William West, introduced as the governor's nephew, and Sir Ferdinando Wenman, his first cousin. At the center of every English community stood the church, the spiritual and social pillar of colonial life. In Jamestown, a wooden church was built in 1608 inside the triangular fort. This church quickly became much more than a place of worship. It served as the final resting place for the colony's most prominent figures. According to English tradition, being buried in the church was a privilege reserved for the social elite. Fast forward to 1994, when Dr. William Kelso launched the Jamestown Rediscovery Project. Between 2013 and 2014, during excavations in the choir of the old church, archaeologists made an extraordinary discovery: for perfectly aligned tombs, evidence of the high social status of their occupants. 2 of these coffins stood out for their exceptional craftsmanship. But it was in one of these coffins that archaeologists made an astonishing discovery: the fragile remains of a military scarf decorated with silver thread and sequins. Such an object could only have belonged to a high-ranking officer, a gentleman of great distinction. By cross-referencing archaeological data, skeletal analysis, and historical documents, researchers identified the 2 figures: Captain William West, who died in battle against the Powhatan in the fall of 1610, and Sir Ferdinando Wenman, who died of illness the same year. But this is where the story takes an absolutely fascinating turn. The scientists did not stop at these identifications. They decided to take their investigations further using one of the most revolutionary technologies of our time: ancient DNA analysis. And that's when everything changed. The geneticists did not simply confirm the European origin of these men. They meticulously analyzed their mitochondrial DNA, the unique genetic signature that is passed down exclusively through the maternal line, from mother to daughter, generation after generation, with virtually no modification. The results of this analysis would turn everything we thought we knew about these 2 men upside down. Sir Ferdinando Wenman and Captain William West had exactly the same mitochondrial signature. This means that they share a common ancestor on their maternal side, which is surprising to say the least. According to official genealogies, their family connection should be through the West family on their father's side. This genetic discovery deeply intrigued the researchers. Why did these 2 men, who were supposed to be related through the West family, share the same maternal signature? This mystery prompts them to return to the archives with a fresh set of eyes, searching for clues they may have missed. And that's when they stumble upon the document that will change everything. While exploring the papers relating to Captain William West's affairs after his death, they discover a trial, testimonies, and statements that reveal a stunning truth. William West was not the son of Lord de la Warre's brother, as official genealogies indicated. He was in fact the illegitimate son of Elizabeth West, the governor's aunt, a woman who had never been married. This revelation casts everything in a new light. In the 17th century, particularly in the English aristocracy, the birth of an illegitimate child was a major scandal. These children, although often cared for by their families, had their existence erased from official records and family genealogies to preserve reputations and lines of succession. This is why Captain William West's true parentage had been carefully concealed for centuries. He enjoyed the protection and support of his family, receiving status and opportunities, but the circumstances of his birth remained a closely guarded secret. This discovery marks the first time in history that ancient DNA has revealed a case of illegitimacy in early colonial America, particularly among the upper classes. DNA has not only identified these long-dead individuals, it has acted as a genetic key unlocking a 400-year-old family secret, deliberately buried in the annals of history. This revelation leaves us with a fascinating question. How many other secrets does the Earth still hold? How many mysteries, hidden for centuries, await discovery thanks to these extraordinary scientific tools? The potential for future discoveries is immense, not only in Jamestown, but at historical sites around the world.